podcast, and we're gonna definitely be repeating a lot of information on the cast, because I know a lot of folks didn't quite get it. And here's that bug I was talking about, because this says CV tries to go for the back mineral patch but is walled out by the one in front of it. I hope Mario notices. I stared at this for like 4 minutes in disbelief, just like waiting to see if it would ever fix itself. It never fixes itself. Anyways, this is the Lycan leak, however, so guys, make sure to give a bit of love to Lycan. You can follow him on Twitter at LycanGTV, because without him, we wouldn't have these awesome tournaments. He did make sure to schedule this with us so that we could be one of the first Legacy of the Void beta casts, which is kind of cool, with the Alima League coming up this weekend as well. So if you missed out on your ticket for the Lycan League, you can still get in for a weekly Legacy of the Void tournament a little bit later on. But we'll talk a little bit about the minerals, talk about some balance, the minimap, blah, 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 blah. But first, let's get these players introduced. Spawning in the bottom right, it's going to be the Red Terran, HTOMario.
The top left as the blue Zerg, it's Nerchio.
Alright, so I do kind of fear that, we talked about when he was on the run, Mario may have been dedicating a little bit too much attention, a little too much micro towards that tank drop, while, his defense was left unattended. But I use this to segue to the fact that Archon mode is really cool because it bridges that problem entirely. We've been playing a lot of Archon mode recently, so I'm grabbing myself, and one of the cool things is the fact that you can have me, for example, control that drop while she still macros at home. So, while 1v1s are really cool, guys, I'm really expecting some sincerely sick stuff out of Archon mode as time goes on.
Everyone's having, enjoyment with it too. It's just, we didn't really know that people enjoy 2v2s until we did the first 2v2 tournament, right? And so when everyone's like,
that's
telling Rifkin, like,
too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, oh my god, that was so fun. Let's keep doing it. Well, everyone's doing the same thing in, like, Archon mode right now. Like, pro gamers you would think are going to, like, try and get the edge on and practice 1v1. They're like, nah, Archon mode, bro.
Yeah. Well, I think... I just want to stress this again, because I guess we got some new viewers coming in, missed the explanation earlier. The mini-maps, guys, this map is not so bad for it. The map textures don't really bleed through as bad, but the mini-map does have this weird change to it. Personally, not a fan, where things are a little more transparent. The alpha levels are a little bit lower, so you can sort of see through the dots. Don't know if this is going to be a permanent change. I really hope it's not, because all it does is make the mini-map even harder to read.
Oh. On the flip side, let's talk about a cool addition to the graphics, and that you can see things that are behind buildings now.
Yeah, let's...
Yay!
See if we can find a good example of that. There we go. You can see the SCV's edges glowing as they get in. We actually had someone before the cast, they asked, this was, it was a fair question, but it was a funny question to me, because I just assumed better, but the question was, can you see widow mines behind buildings? And I'm like, well, if they're burrowed, you can't see them anyway, so what does it matter?
Well, I think he meant that they show themselves for like a second.
Yeah, like units behind buildings you can see sitting there, if they're not cloaked or burrowed or whatever, But
when it appears, can you see it light up? Is what the question is, though. Like,
well, they put that little laser beam.
Yeah, that was going to be my answer. More than anything is like maybe, but you can see the target, so that's going to be your first visual indication.
So folks asking, what's Lycan's role, by the way, in this? Lycan created the tournament. He sometimes admins it. Most of the time it's Swayed. But he sometimes admins it. He'll take a day off work to actually make sure players can play. He puts up the prize pool out of his own pocket. There's no sponsorship for this, guys. This is all Lycan, 100%, which is why you should absolutely give him a bit of love. 7 weeks running strong, and plenty of plans here for Legacy of the Void. I think he's put $1,000 into this month, if I'm not mistaken, for tournaments. So you got a lot to look forward to, thanks to him. Now these ladies are going to come in and base the principles for HTOMario. You're like, where was that bunker? Ugh.
This...
I mean, tank's on the way. Maybe he can clean this up, because the medevac will be able to kite around a bit.
Yeah, well, those holes SCPs. Kind of cool, yeah, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, puts the wall down. That was a really smart move. Not so smart over here, of course. But not to take too much away from waiting on that medevac to finish so they can start cleaning up the legs, pick up a drop, Hopefully he does it soon, though, before he loses too much in the natural. Looks like he won't be able to save those depots.
But he'll have counter-aggression at the very least, as Nerchio isn't quite on that lair tech much with Spire, so unless the queens can survive and kill that medevac, that should be an everlasting aggression. Yes.
Well, everlasting to a point of Mutalisks coming out.
I said that.
Oh, sorry.
I just didn't, and it's not in the same order as
okay,
with the words.
My
the
bad.
words and
we do have a lair tech coming out of Nerchio here in a second, so it might actually just get to those mutas, but I mean, Nerchio is like I said before, guys, like Nerchio's a good player. He's a contender. He plays WCS. He does a lot of these tournaments. Mario's kind of just come back to the game recently.
He went underneath the creep. Did you see that?
No, maybe.
Oh. Okay, well maybe
I didn't
it'll
really
happen
notice,
again.
to be honest. I'll have to go back and look at that through the delay on the stream.
Looks like he's gonna give it up. So there were enough queens to start firing correctly that drop was just actually wasn't that big of a deal. Well, now what does he do? He has a lot less SCVs, only at 26. He doesn't have a third command center. Nerchio is about to have mutas, and Mario really can't afford Thors, not many turrets either. If you guys also don't like we mentioned this, barracks are the only thing you need to build missile turrets.
Ah, yes, that was a huge change actually, because it allowed for some really interesting pushes that we've seen out of Terran players as well. But it's also not that panic of like, oh, I didn't build an engineering bay, now I gotta wait another 40 minutes or whatever.
Yes, 40 minutes for the engineering bay.
Well, I mean, with mutas constantly picking it off. No, but I mean, it was a bit silly though that I remember being particularly salty when they removed the evolution chamber cost. But they're like, no, Terran, you still gotta walk through all these steps, do all these really stupid things.
Yeah, especially since the Oracle was, such a big problem being part of the swarm. I mean, that would have been the response more than anything else. For some reason, they put it in Legacy of the Void, and, well, I'm not going to complain.
Well, drop in the middle, just hold on to the watchtower, but Cyclones are kind of cool. They help fill some of the roles in the game that we're missing right now, where mech doesn't really have great anti-air. Lock-on's definitely going to kill a Mutalisk without question. Lock-on's also got this really gross ability where you don't even have to see the unit once locked on, but again, we'll see if that comes into play or not. Because there's a couple of Vikings, tanks are out. I mean, I'm kind of feeling like the anti-air might just barely be enough for now, but it's going to be a lot easier for Nerchio to spiral than it will be for Mario to keep up with it.
Nerchio getting those upgrades. It looks like he might be going into a hive. Okay, it is going to be a hive. He could have gone into Swarm Host as well. Basically a lot of this expansion, it seems, has been about breaking the turtle. So either with the economy changes or straight up with the units. And I guess in the change of Swarm Host, just changing the unit.
I see what you mean by under the creep now, by the way. Didn't register in my brain at the time, but like the creep was over. Like it looked like the siege thing had all the creep like up on its business.
Yeah, exactly. You went back. Oh, you watched the stream delay. That's right.
Yeah, I was really curious what you're talking about. Like if it was underground. Like I was like, did I really miss the tank being underground? Like what? Hive Tech coming out of Nerchio though. Lots of really cool ways to use Hive Tech now for Zerg. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but I do look at these flying locusts and not quite cringe, but become curious how Nerchio plans to use them.
Just to fly over the supply depot walls, like.
Well, I don't know if anyone saw it. There was the Legacy of the Void mod show matches Nathanius held, and I think it was Patreus versus Igas, and Igas ended up having to make like 15 missile turrets just to keep the flying locusts from flying into the CC and landing. It was ridiculous.
Sometimes Blizzard over-nerfs things. Like, I mean, they may be over-nerfed Infestor, Broodlord, and Heart of the Swarm. Like, really don't ever see that anymore. But I think if it comes to nerfing Turtle, either Turtle Terran or Turtle Toss, I am all on board for that. Like, Mario in Heart of the Swarm, if it was an easier third base, like Akon or something, I'd be like, he could Turtle. Like, maybe he could do something. Whoops. Maybe he could do something. But in Legacy of the Void, I'm just like, he's going to get broken one way or another. Like, a Nidus Room is going to come up and, doesn't actually be able to get attacked until it's up. The mutas are going to get too big a number, which I guess you could do in Part of the Swarm. Or the Locusts are going to fly over your supply depots and kill your tanks. Like, there's so many options. So
one of the big things, though, I'm thinking of for what Legacy of the Void right now, Mario's still on 2 bases. He's trying to secure his third. You bring up this whole topic of turtling, and players like Goody have this really interesting style where they can slow push a third over the course of 20 minutes. You can't really do that in Legacy of the Void so easily because everything here runs out faster. You run out of minerals on these patches quicker. You run out of gas quicker on these geysers. It's not something where you can sit back on 1 or 2 bases for too long. You will have to actually take that next step and expand a little bit quicker than you normally would be comfortable with. And Nerchio, he's making sure that Mario gets 1 extra base and that's it. Creep spread, physically taking the hatcheries. Like I said, Nerchio just kind of toying with his food right now, moving towards Ultras, getting Adrenal Glands, which is a 40% attack speed increase for Zerglings now, guys. It's ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous.
Can of course just run away the Swarm Hosts. Yep, just run away, Stormos. There you go, just walk away. And the Lings get on top of all the units, and that's,
You gotta wonder, like, mech player, where are your Hellbats? Deeples are down, Helling's rushing the front lines. This is...
He forgot.
This is over.
Yeah. I mean, even with Hellbats, he still wouldn't win, but it's kind of funny that we might see people just forget to make the basic units like Hellions, because they want to play with the, you know, tank drops. They want to play with the Cyclones.
Cyclones had such a... Even when it's not doing the lock-on mode, it's got such a cool attack. I just wish the unit itself looked a little bit...
Cooler.
Better.
Yeah.
Actually... It's like a missile turret head on wheels.
Yeah, I am disappointed. I'm disappointed in that, as well as the Lurker, the Corruptor ability. In terms of like the only graphical update I can really appreciate, or the model, I guess, the Adept is actually a really sick, like, cool model.
I like that. I like the Disruptor's pretty to look at too.
Oh yeah, the Disruptor got prettier too. Like with the one in the arcade version of Legacy of the Void was kind of because it was like a mothership for.
Fire the Valkyries, guys! Oh, fight the Valkyries coming in. The Locust land on top of everything, trying to micro around as best he can. Hellion's getting a couple shots off, but Mario is, he's Dunzos. Dunzaroonies. That Adrenal Glands upgrade is so sick to watch, like, in action. I actually really like Zerg just because of that upgrade.
I've always liked Lings, and I've always liked Ling and Fester Ultra, especially versus Protoss, so I am, of course, very happy.
Well, guys, we're going to try and find another match here as quick as we can.